So now that Wonder Man has completely finished and I've done reviewed the show, here's my overall thoughts on the show as a whole. So starting off with the thing that made it really known for me that this show was going to be different was that this show was put under the Marvel Spotlight banner, which it was the same thing as Echo, which where all the episodes aired at once, which now to me explains why this show has put all 8 of its episodes all at once to make it bingeable, because it allows fans to see the show as a show that is really worth watching, but also as something that you don't really need to watch to understand anything new. This is just focused on character-based origin stories, and I really, really love that about the show. Now, going on to the show itself, Destin Daniel Cretton and Andrew Guest, who were the showrunners of this show, did really good. I really enjoyed that this show did not feel like an MCU show. It felt like a show, a good version of a show parroting Hollywood. If you saw me do my reviews for the studio like a year or two ago, they were kind of overdoing it with the parroting, but this show absolutely did really well in good ways, where it's like it was a way to honor and tribute Hollywood as a whole, all the films that were mentioned, all the directors that were mentioned, and the real life actors that we got to see in this show, like Josh Gad, Mario Lopez, and Joe Pangio, Joe Pangiliano. I know I butchered his last name, but I really love that this show was basically just like a love letter to Hollywood as a whole, and the process that it takes to be cast in a Hollywood film. Now, moving on to the actors themselves, Yahya Abdul Mateen II and Sir Ben Kingsley, they absolutely killed it. Their dynamic of Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery was so good. I did not think I was gonna love their dynamic as much as I did. Seeing Trevor kind of be like the mentor to Simon, to just kind of have Simon get over his insecurities, get over his fears and all that stuff, was really, really done well, albeit he was working under the DODC. But we'll push that under the rug. Um, Simon's origin as a whole, I think, was done really, really well. I really liked how, even though they didn't show too much of Simon using his powers, the use of his powers was done really well as a way to show, in a way, Simon's anxiety and Simon's insecurities about him being an actor and all that stuff, which I thought was just really, really well done. And little of his powers from the little bit that we got of it, I thought was really, really done well. And seeing how the show ends with, Trevor and Simon flying away from the DODC, it makes me think that we're going to see Simon's powers be used more and more. Now, going on to the supporting cast of Janelle, Eric, and Von Kovac, they were really good supporting cast. I kind of wish that we got a little bit more with Janelle, Eric, and Von Kovac, but the little bit that we got of them was really, really good. You can just, every single time I saw Janelle on screen, I just loved her, because I knew that she was going to be like very hysterical to see. Eric, Eric Williams, I did not Blade. Eric Williams, Simon Williams' brother in the comics, is the Grim Reaper. I had a feeling they weren't gonna have him become the Grim Reaper in the show, but I really like that they still had him have that little bit of like annoyance towards Simon, which is something that I really love. And also just all the stuff that we see with Simon feeling, and him feeling like he has to prove himself. He has to prove himself as a whole. I think that was done really good. Simon's whole arc when it came to him, well, I can't really say his arc, but overall this show I felt like was a really good way for Marvel to kind of establish themselves as being able to make superhero shows that doesn't really focus on superheroes as a whole. Because for me, I feel like this was Marvel's real first attempt at making a TV show that really didn't focus on a hero being a superhero, because this show really just focused on Simon getting over his anxieties and his fears, while keeping his powers secret due to the whole Doorman clause thing. And I really loved how we got a Marvel edition of Doorman, who was a member of the GLA, Great Lakes Avengers in the comics, and I kind of really loved how we had that whole episode dedicated to explain why superpowered individuals are no longer welcomed in Hollywood. And I think that was just done to perfection, in my opinion. Overall, I just really think it was good. Now, moving on to like the villain, I guess, if you want to call the DODC the villains of this show, Agent Cleary, he was a thorn on Trevor's side the entire time, bribing Trevor to keep an eye on Simon unless he wants to go to jail. I think that was done really well. I'm very certain that the DODC is going to be established to be the organization to kind of have a thing against mutants once we get the X-Men into the MCU after Secret Wars. I think that's going to be interesting. And seeing Trevor portray as the Mandarin again, I think that was so awesome. Like I said in my review that when I saw for episode 8, I said in my review that when Trevor came back as the Mandarin, when he put up the whole getup again, I said I got goosebumps, and I just really enjoyed that performance. And with how the show ended, I really do think we're going to see Trevor and Simon return. Do I think the show is going to get a season 2? Probably, because people love the show already. So, and I think this is going to be a big success for Disney as a whole, since this is going to be like their first Marvel project of the year, which I think that's a very good thing. And yeah, overall, I am excited to see where Simon and Trevor are going to go from this point out. I don't think when it comes to Simon's work world, I feel like he still hasn't grown as a person when it comes to being a dick, because that's technically a lie, because in episode 8 he did kind of grow as a character when it comes to actually listening to people, so I'll give him that. But I am intrigued to see what Marvel has in store for Trevor and Simon. I do hope that when we see Simon again, he will actually kind of start being more of a superhero. But I would not be shocked if he's not really interested in being a superhero, and that could be a really good dynamic with someone like Spider-Man or Kate Bishop, let's say, because I know that Andrew Guest said that he'd love to have Kate Bishop and Simon interact with one another. But yeah, that was my review for so okay, there you go. So that was my review for Wonder Man. You can see now what my overall ranking of this show was. This was a really good show, and in my opinion, a really solid start to this year for Marvel. Marvel has a lot more stuff coming this way, but I feel like this was an honestly good, solid start to the year.